Hello, how's it going? I hope you are well today. In this video, I want to take a look at r/advice because I can't remember the last time we looked at this subreddit. Let's get straight into it. I feel like my boyfriend's patriotism is ruining our relationship. I don't know what to do about my boyfriend's intense patriotism and political views, and I'm doubting our relationship at this point. I know this sounds ridiculous, but let me explain. So I, 22-year-old female, have been dating my boyfriend, who's a 25-year-old male, for 2 years now. My boyfriend and I already have very different political views, where I lean more moderate to left and he is a conservative. This has never been an issue for me. I don't believe you have to have the same political views to date someone. However, I'm starting to question that. Normally it's not something that's bothered me, but my boyfriend in the last 6 months has made a relationship revolve around politics. I cannot seem to escape him wanting to have political conversations. The problem is, though, that we have very different views. I do have a lot of Republican viewpoints, but a lot of the big issues I side left with, however, he is intensely conservative. The trouble is, my boyfriend is also seemingly addicted to political Instagram content, which is rarely reliable, so he'll quote things from Instagram, and when I show him that they're not actually true, he'll get so upset. A lot of the things he is seeing are just blatantly propaganda and take 30 seconds to look into and debunk. But when I do this, he gets so upset. I've suggested we don't talk about politics anymore, but that doesn't work either. It's like a compulsion for him to speak about it. It's been the centre of every single fight we've gotten in the last 6 months. I'm not the only one he's getting in fights with over this, it's his whole family too. And it's the same thing he'll say something that is completely wrong and everyone will immediately debunk it, and then he just turns to personal attacks. Even on my birthday, he brought up the issue of abortion, which we obviously don't agree on, until I was crying because he was being so harsh about it. This also goes into his patriotism. He is intensely patriotic. We live together and he has managed to recently hang a very large American flag in every space of our apartment. I am also not from America. I'm a citizen now, but this is not my home country. I'm European. I asked if we could hang a flag of my country, I asked if we could hang a flag for my country then, and he absolutely disagreed because my country is socialist. However, my country and America have never even had issues with each other. It's also been peaceful throughout history. All he talks about at this point is his hatred for immigrants, how women don't deserve certain rights, guns, Donald Trump, and how much he hates liberals. His speech is also incredibly hateful and just blatantly inaccurate. He cries when he talks about the military because of how brave they are and how he wants to join because he wants the same respect as them. He claims straight white men are the most underprivileged people in this country and no one sees it. I feel like I'm losing my mind. So in your guys' opinion, will my relationship be able to last these issues? So I agree with you. You don't necessarily need to have the same political views as somebody to be in a relationship with them or to be friends with someone or whatever. It's healthy to have people in your life who don't agree with everything that you say or do. The opposite of that, I believe, would be an echo chamber. So that, first of all, I don't think is necessarily the issue. I think the context is politics, but the issue itself is the fact that your boyfriend seems to have no critical thinking abilities. He turns to personal attacks. He makes you cry. He just all round doesn't seem like a great guy. It just so happens to be that you're fighting about politics, but at the end of the day, he's still just believing everything that he sees on the internet that aligns with his opinions. And when people debunk those things, he is, personally attacking people, getting nasty with them, saying things that he shouldn't be saying. I think that's the real issue here. So at this point, I would question why you even want to be with a person who does things like that. You know, as I say, I think the politics is kind of besides the point. I think it just so happens to be the context of this situation, but I don't think that it's the problem itself. So you're not really asking for advice, just an opinion. I don't think that it's going to last. I mean, you're an immigrant and he talks about how he hates immigrants. That seems pretty fucking personal. Do you know what I mean? How women don't deserve certain rights is making you cry on your birthday. I don't think it's going to last, to answer your question. Anyway, now someone is asking for advice on their 12-year-old. I'm a 28-year-old female and have a 12-year-old son. We'll call him Jay. In the past month, I've completely removed Jay's phone because I'm realising he may have access to too much screen time. I'm in between whether it should be completely revoked, and I'm thinking 14 or 15 is a more sensible age to give him access to a cell phone. I'd also like to add that Jay is biologically my nephew, whom I've taken care of since he was 1.5 years old, but he has 5 other siblings still with his birth mother. A little background, I parented Jay a little differently when he was younger. He never had a tablet or a phone before the age of 12, although he did have a laptop around 10 and an iPod he seldomly used around 9. Instead, I took him to nature reserves, museums, etc. We live in Florida, so I'd honestly look up things to do with kids. In South Florida, whatever we'd find, we'd go to. If we didn't do that, we were at home staying busy. I made a makeshift corner of my room his little, okay, get to the point. Yeah, he didn't have a phone until he turned 12, and he's still 12. Around his 12th birthday, he did ask for a phone, and I discussed it with friends and family, and I kind of understood why. Obviously, it's 2023 at that time, and every kid has some kind of electronic device when we go out. I didn't want him to feel left out. Also, as noted above, his 5 other siblings had cellular devices and tablets, and some of them were even younger than him. So when he was around them or family, kids, and saw them with devices, I'm sure he felt some way. I obliged and got him an iPhone 14 and monitored his use. I allowed him to use TikTok, which I realise now was a huge mistake, as well as YouTube. I'm not liking the content he's exposed to on YouTube or TikTok, and overall don't like the small effects it's made on his personality. Am I being too anal, and should I just let him grow up? I feel like society today is forcing our kids to grow up faster than we needed to back then, that I don't want to be a stickler either. Any advice? I mean, is it because he has a phone that he's changing, that his personality is, having these small effects, whatever? Is it because of the phone? Is it because of TikTok and YouTube? Or is it because he's 12 and all of his friends are looking at these things and talking about them at school and probably showing him stuff when he's at school? At that age, it's the formative years. People are impressionable. People experiment. People make mistakes and do all kinds of crap, right? Is a phone going to help or hinder this development process? I mean, it could go either fucking way, couldn't it? But the thing is, as we just talked about, grown-ass adults can't even think critically about what they see online. So how is a child who has less experience and less developed brain, how are they going to deal with that and cope with that? I think, to be honest, it's one of these things where you can't shelter your children from the world, but you can prepare them for it. You know what I mean? You can teach them things like critical thinking and how to, spot something that's clearly bullshit online, how to keep themselves safe online, how to make their own decisions about who they want to be in the world instead of giving into the peer pressure from their friends, which is always going to be a thing whether they have an electronic device or not. So I do think it's a little bit, not unfair, but I think a little bit unfair, a little bit inconsistent and confusing that your kid has just turned 12 and then you've immediately taken his phone away from him. So you turned 12, you gave him a phone, then you didn't like what he was doing with the phone, and then you took the phone away, and it's been less than a year. That's a confusing message. I would say 12 years old, to me, that does seem kind of young to have a device, like a mobile, electronic device, whatever. But at the same time, put it in context in terms of is he going out by himself places? Is he going to the shops by himself? Is he going to a friend's house by himself and all that kind of stuff? Is he in a situation where you would want to be able to contact him and find out where he is when he's coming home, if he's doing all right? That's what I would think about, the benefits of having a phone. And then, as I say, prepare him for what to expect, not only via electronic devices, but just, as I say, as normal part of growing up, as being in the world. prepare him for what's out there and enable him to make good decisions for himself rather than always being the one governing what he does. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, next one. My girlfriend cheated on me and I don't know how to feel about it. My girl went out with her best friend for her birthday party. They ended up clubbing all night and her friend decided to go home with the dude and go party at his house. My girlfriend was sleeping over at a friend's house, so she went with her to the dude's house. They ended up swimming and drinking and playing pool. The friend, the guy whose house it is, ended up kissing my girl in the pool and she froze and did not know what to do. They got out of the pool and the guys whose house it is, their father started drinking with them, and her friend and the guys whose house it is ended up going to another room, and this guy, oh my god, use some punctuation. It's the longest run-on sentence I've read in a while. And this guy asked my girl, can we not say my girl, you don't own this person? My girlfriend, if she wanted to go to another room with him, and she ended up doing it and claimed she did not know how to say no and cause a scene. I'm not sure about that. I can imagine it being the case, but also I can imagine it not being the case. The guy ended up kissing her again and touching her down there. She said that she was in a lot of pain and did not want to tell him to stop because she was afraid he would hurt her. She went to the bathroom and saw that she was bleeding from her private area because this is not what she wanted and she did not know how to stop the guy. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm confused and hurt in a way that I don't know how to handle it. I am the first guy to ever treat her with love and respect, and she told me in the past she was treated like this by men and she felt that she's only seen as a sex symbol and would always freeze up and let them do what they want to her, and she's too scared to say something about it. And I understand where it comes from, but I still don't know how to feel about it, and I don't want to leave her. I still love her with all my heart, but I can't help to overthink everything. So Reddit, please give me advice on how to handle this. Based on what you said, I'm now thinking, okay, it was the case that she didn't feel comfortable saying no. Because if she was a willing participant, she very likely, there's medical conditions or whatever, but she very likely wouldn't have been experiencing the pain and the bleeding. That to me says that something very, very wrong went on there, and that to me is not the same thing as cheating. That's a vulnerable person who has been abused in the past. Let's call it what it is. She's been abused in the past. She's been put in a similar situation to what she's been put in before. She doesn't want to further endanger herself because from experience that has been the case. So she goes along with it to try and minimize the negative impact that it's going to have on her in the moment until she can get out of the situation. That to me sounds really, really shit. And as I say, that to me doesn't sound like cheating. That sounds like something that you should talk about further to figure out whether it's something that needs to be reported. Because it sounds as if the situation that was created there was kind of... it's a situation where you can see it leading to things. You can see how it's like a series of events that enables something bad to happen. So the question is whether that situation was orchestrated or not, whether it just happened that way, or whether that was something that was done on purpose. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Good, okay. Moving on. Next one. 4 hours of knocking sounds. Should we call the police? For about 4 hours now, we've heard knocking around our house. It sounds like there's someone outside knocking on various windows in different parts of the house. It is 5 knocks each time. It never varies, but the location keeps changing. We have cameras around the house, but we don't have them around the entire perimeter. My husband has checked inside and out. He sees nothing. The camera shows nothing. Can plumbing noises make the exact same pattern for hours in different places around the house? Or is there some sneaky creep around our house tonight? We have 2 young daughters who I want to keep safe, but I'd feel like an idiot calling the cops if it was just the pipes. Would you call? I don't want to turn nothing into something, but this is getting weird. Honestly, That sounds really dodgy to me. I mean, I think like people, you know what a pipe sounds like, you know what old houses sound like. It's not a knocking sound as such, and like 5 knocks every time in the exact same pattern, just in different places. I watch a lot of true crime stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me if it was just a fucking creep around your house, or someone who thinks they're being funny, whatever. I can completely understand not wanting to call the police over nothing and not wanting to like look like an idiot, but I definitely think that when it comes to the safety of yourself and your family, fuck it, just do it. If you're that worried about it, just do it. I'm not following my own advice because a lot of the time, like, I'll hear things outside, and to be fair, it's like it's a similar situation but different. Like when I hear noises that could be people in distress, then that triggers me, and I wonder whether I should call the police about that. But then sometimes it's just idiots screaming outside, you know. So it's hard for me to distinguish whether it's just idiots making a racket or if it's someone who's actually in trouble that I should be trying to help. But when it comes to like your own house and your safety and the safety of your children, I would say err on the side of caution, and yeah, fuck it, call the police and just explain to them exactly like what you said in this post, and that you're concerned that there's someone creeping around your house and they should be able to send someone out and take a proper look. Okay, next one. Stepdad who's 56 years old gets mad about leftovers. I'm a 21-year-old female, really need an objective input on how to handle this because honestly, I don't know what to do. This might sound like a tiny problem, which I agree with, but my stepdad's reaction to this small problem is what I believe makes it a bigger one. My stepdad frequently gets mad about leftovers. This happens because sometimes when we have leftovers, he wants them for lunch when he gets home or for dinner. The thing is that it's not every time, so sometimes we end up with several different dishes in the fridge and him or my mum, 55-year-old female, throwing it out because no one eats it, okay? However, when he does want it for lunch or dinner, he doesn't tell us and just puts it away like normal in the fridge. I've tried asking him to just put a name on it, but he refuses. Today I heard him almost yelling from the living room who ate some of his rice. I ate them not knowing it was his. He even complained about it over the phone to my mum. I think it's dumb to have to text everyone I live with, 4 people, every time I want to eat leftovers, and he will just not put his name on anything. I hate getting in trouble because of this, and I honestly think it's childish. What can I even do about this? I'm starting to feel very negatively towards him, and I don't want that. It just makes me so mad hearing him complaining when he doesn't even make the time to write his name on the food. He's currently going around asking everyone who ate the rice, and I just don't want to deal with him. I can hear him complaining to my mum about it now. I guess what I need advice on is how to fix this problem as a whole. What can I do to make sure this thing stops repeating? How do I handle this, and how do you guys handle this who gets the leftovers thing? P.S. There are more dishes in the fridge from previous days that he can eat, and I only ate half the rice, so he does have plenty of warm food to eat. Edit, thank you for the suggestions. I'll talk to my mum about it while he cools off, and maybe then we can figure something out that works for all of us. Another edit, I've talked to my mum about it, and she agreed that it's unreasonable for him to expect us to know which leftovers are his if he doesn't label it. She's going to talk to him about some of the ideals we talked about in the comments, and hopefully they can agree on something. Thanks for your comments. Have a lovely Wednesday. Okay, well, it seems then that OP's already got... Seems that OP already has the advice they needed. But yeah, I would say, since it's a stepdad, yeah, talk to the mum about it and just explain the situation and that it's actually causing you a lot of stress, which it shouldn't be because it's such a small, should be insignificant thing, right? I've never been in a situation where there's like arguments or raised voices about leftovers. I do think that's weird, but I can understand as well how that does cause like stress and anxiety and hassle that you just don't want to deal with. So yeah, that is weird. That is weird. Next one, please give me some advice. I'm so worried with anxiety. Hey guys, so I'm the same guy from a post I posted last night talking about the anxiety I have from accidentally forgetting to scan stuff in a grocery store. This isn't the first time I forgot to scan many things, especially on the lower rack at this location. How can you forget to scan things yet they end up in your bag? The scanner is literally between where you put the stuff that you're wanting to buy and the bags. I simply just want to remake the post because I feel like my last one wasn't worded right, so I will begin. I was in a grocery store buying grocery items. I see as I'm shopping through the store that there is a guy walking around in a suit and tie, which I figured was just a manager or something. But when I get to the self-checkout, I start scanning my items and come to find out I totally forgot the whole lower rack of my cart, teas, waters, Coke, and I also forgot some more stuff which was hiding underneath toilet paper in the cart, not the lower rack. Okay, so seems like the self-checkout system is a lot different from the ones that we have here in Europe, because self-checkout, it works by weighing the items, so you have to scan an item before you can put it in the bagging area, and they call it the bagging area. And there's this well-known phrase, unexpected item in the bagging area, which alerts you to when you haven't scanned something that you should have been paying for. But in this case, it seems that it's just like scanning items that are on the trolley and you never actually remove them from the trolley. As I'm walking out of the store, right before I leave the door, a guy is following right behind me, and right as I'm about to leave, he says something and comes over to me and pulls out a badge saying he's security and he was watching me, and he said, "What about the lower rack you didn't pay for?" I said, "I'm sorry, I completely forgot to scan those, and I will go back and pay for it all." Well, I also had more things in my cart that probably ranked up to more than $60 of other things that I forgot about. And this also isn't the first time I forgot to scan many items at the store, so I'm very worried they keep a tally on me and waited to call me out for it to be a felony. This wasn't Target or Walmart, thankfully. It's a local grocery store which is only in my city, with many different locations around my city. So the guy walks with me back to the checkout area to scan the items I didn't pay for. We walk over to the checkout and they say, "Where's your receipt?" I say it's in the bag, so they grab it and begin to go through my entire cart right in front of me, scanning each and every item. I began to have a panic attack, and right as they're doing the scanning, I bolt out right past two guys to the left of me. One tried stopping me and basically grabbed me, but the other guy told the guy trying to grab me to let him go. As I'm bolting it out of the store, they run right after me, I'm guessing to try and get my plate, which I think they did. I ran so fast back to my car and got out of there, but as I'm driving away, I see both of them with their phones out recording me, so I definitely think they had to have gotten my plate. Not only that, I have a rewards card where I type in my last name and number and it shows the address to the system, blah blah blah. What should I be expecting? I'm soaking in my anxiety and have no clue what to do. I don't know if the cops will be banging on my door or call from the police department or whatever. Any support to help calm me down, etc, etc. To me, there's a very easy solution. Stop going through the self-scan, go through the normal checkout and get a member of staff to scan your stuff for you. That to me seems so obvious and so simple. It's an avoidable situation. I don't know of any store, again, this seems to be a different system to what we have in Europe, so maybe, I'm just not aware, but I don't know of any store that's completely self-checkout and that you can't get a member of staff to scan stuff for you. Just get a member of staff to scan stuff for you. This is clearly a recurring issue. I don't see how you can be having an actual panic attack and run out of the store and drive your car. My experience with panic attacks is that you can't run anywhere and you're not driving anything because you literally cannot see. So I don't know if you're just exaggerating there or using wrong terminology, but to me it seems like you just panicked. Not that you had a panic attack, but that you panicked and ran out of the store, which looks suspicious AF. I don't know what you were thinking doing that, but never mind, you've done it, it's already happened. What I would do in that situation is I would go back directly to the store, ask to speak to the manager and just explain that situation. Just be like, "Oh my gosh, this happened, I just panicked, I ran out of the store, but honestly I'm not purposefully trying to steal stuff, I just keep forgetting to scan things. What can we do to, resolve this? I estimate that I've accidentally stolen," which is essentially what it is. "I estimate that I've accidentally stolen this much worth of goods. Can I just pay you this amount of goods? and in the future I will stop going through self-checkout. That's the way I would deal with it. What should you be expecting? Police at your door? It sounds like it would be fucking justified, to be honest, to send police to your door, but no one can answer that, whether they'll come or not. Like, do you know, it's like, I'm in these peer support groups, right? And it's like when people post in a group and they're like, oh, what's the cancellation policy of this one particular practice in the whole world? Phone the practice, email the practice. Why are you coming on a group and asking what one practice's cancellation policy is? How the fuck are we supposed to know? Anyway, next and final one. My fiancé makes comments about other women. I feel insecure. I love my fiancé, but one thing bothers me about him. He's the type of man who's into other women, more so than any of my exes. He dated a lot of women before me. He's countless women on his social media who he's never met, who he's had sexual conversations with. I see women loving his pictures on Facebook and I don't know who they are. He makes comments about other women. For example, when we were watching a film the other day, he was telling me how hot the actress is. The other day I told him about something that happened with an ex-roommate who had a girlfriend. He knocked on someone's door and the woman inside answered without a top. My fiancé said he should have felt lucky. This type of stuff makes it harder for me to trust him when it comes to other women. There's a woman at work who he's friends with. She calls him with both work and non-work related topics after work hours. I asked if I could meet her and reluctantly he agreed and said he asked, but she didn't give him a definite answer, so it never happened. She has recently reacted with love to a post on his Facebook, which is making me think about how much they interact. He told me he's trying to lessen it. All in all, I feel pretty insecure. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, I am getting a lot of insecurity from your post. I mean, the thing is, right, social media is just fucking social media. You get different personality types on social media. There's people like me who I only have my Facebook account for groups. I specifically put in my profile, don't add me. I have like deleted my old Facebook profile that I had like friends on there and just created one for groups, and I'm refusing to have anyone on there because that's the way I am. That's my personality. I use Facebook for what I need it for and nothing else. And there's other people who go on Facebook and Instagram and they'll heart everything. It's just like their acknowledgement that they've seen a post, they'll just automatically heart it. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. In some cases, it's someone like trying to get attention, trying to be flirty, but not always the case. It sounds as if your boyfriend just makes gross comments about people, to be honest. It sounds as if he's just not very respectful of women in general, if that's the kind of thing that he says a lot. But in any case, I would definitely talk to him about your insecurities. Just explain to him, like, you know that, you know, some of it is on you and that you do feel insecure, but also that his actions aren't really helping the situation and that you would love to come to some sort of compromise on how you can both work on making things a little bit better to strengthen the relationship. So yeah, definitely talk to him about it. I don't think that there's anything you can do alone. I think there needs to be a conversation, or else you'll just always be wondering, you'll always have that question mark. Asking to see or meet the woman that he works with, I would not have gone down that route. That seems very, I don't want you speaking to other women that I don't know. That's not what you're saying, I understand that, but it just seems of that ilk, which makes me uncomfortable. I wouldn't go down that route. I think you need to build trust in the relationship and to be able to trust your partner. I think you said something about how you don't really trust him. So I would be trying to solve that problem. But yeah, talk to him and figure it out together. Alright, that's the last one that I had for this episode. I always try and pick ones that are a little bit different because there's always so many things about babies, baby names, weddings, inheritance, money, all samey, so I try and pick ones that are a little bit different. Let me know how you felt about these topics today and if you would have some different advice, if you disagree with anything that I've said. Thank you very much for joining me today. I do hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye bye! Bye, 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 bye.